Thanks for joining us once again. Our focus today is the new Pi phone from Tesla. What is it? What is its value, potential impact to the company, or the items we plan to cover? Thanks for joining us once again. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. If this is your first time, welcome. If you're a repeat visitor, welcome back. We also want to thank our Patreon supporters. If you enjoy the show, would like some better ideas on investing and trading, please join us on Patreon. At any rate, today we're sort of rapidly rolling towards the production numbers that would be basically on the 2nd of October next week. And we're all hopeful that those numbers will be good and therefore continue the positive thrust of the stock. So I got a feed yesterday on my system regarding the new phone from Tesla. So I guess I have to say I was a little surprised because it seems as though the whole phone thing is done in terms of innovations that would give you enough numbers of people buying to make it a worthwhile effort to actually deliver a phone. But clearly Elon sees opportunity in that space. So in essence, at least at retail, this is about $1,000 phone. It is based on the Android platform, but it also includes a chip developed by Tesla. So I guess the key features are: one, it is Android. Two, being with Android gives you the facilities of all of the App Store and everything else that goes with that. That's an interesting point, I think, because if Elon had his own platform instead of Android, in theory, he could then create his own App Store and potentially enter all the revenue possibilities that go with being expanded in that fashion, but he has chosen not to go there yet. So the other features of this are there's a 2 terabyte drive. That's actually a lot of space because for the average person, 1 terabyte is sufficient. If you're going 2 terabytes, it reduces the need to go into the storage in the cloud that all the other entities are involved with. The next issue, and I guess I want to call it the killer app that Elon has developed, is a more seamless interface with Starlink. As you know, Elon Musk has SpaceX, and a division of that is Starlink. And for people who live in high density areas, the availability of high-speed Wi-Fi is excellent. So there's really no need to mess around with Starlink. But if you're in rural areas that don't have good coverage, having Starlink is an excellent resource. So I guess you could kind of call it a satellite phone, but in essence it's rotating off of the power of the satellites put up by Starlink that are built by Tesla, or that are built by SpaceX and the Starlink division. So this part of it is kind of interesting because there are actually apps available, I believe, both on Android as well as on iPhones that allow you to get the interface to Starlink without necessarily having to buy a phone to do so, which I think might affect the sales. As you would expect, it has all of the features relative to energy management of the car, energy management of your home, etc. So I think that it might be a good integrated product to have, as it helps you manage your relationship with all manner of Tesla products you may already own. So this sort of covers the list of perhaps why consumers might choose to buy it. Now, there are a couple other points that I think that kind of make sense to cover. In particular, I spoke with a couple of Silicon Valley engineers about, well, why would Elon do this? And the biggest one that came up as an issue was numbers of chips. So unlike automakers, Tesla has chosen to deliver or design its own chips and have them manufactured. So one of the problems they're having is that the more chips that they use, the lower the cost per chip. So for them to push chips out on their own phone actually allows them to lower the costs of all the chips that are going to the cars and the phones. So I think that makes sense. One other angle that I thought was interesting was that Tesla has and others have run into this problem of excellent engineers, particularly on the software side, running out of stuff to do. So Tesla has largely delivered its entire list of products they plan to do. There is supposed to be coming up the robotaxi. There is still the Roadster to be delivered, and we do have, the Semi totally hasn't arrived. But the bottom line is that all of the development for major products is somewhat done. So there's been a large outflow of Tesla engineers onto other positions, other companies, simply because most of the really cool engineering innovation has already been completed, and therefore there is not a lot for them to do. I've actually seen some of the big auto companies have them design a company bicycle as a way to give those engineers that are young and talented something to do, because there's just too many bodies for the amount of work that needs to be done relative to new products. So my view of this phone is, I have to say, it's good that there's going to be new revenue for Tesla. It gives them another way to generate numbers, and increased revenue and profit is always appreciated by Wall Street. The question mark I'm wondering about is kind of why, if you sell 2 or 3 phones relative to Apple's 50 or 60 million, probably the same with Samsung's production of phones, it seems kind of seems somewhat kind of a waste of time, but I do think that the throughput of more chips is actually a valid reason to use the talent to deliver it. So I don't think it's a bad idea, but when most of your products are selling 400,000 a quarter at an average price of 65,000 per Model Y, having a $1,000 unit that sells, let's call it a few $100,000 a quarter, ideally, the amount of revenue relative to management time seems somewhat like it may not be worth that effort. But again, I say it's never a bad thing to have more revenue. So, congratulations to Elon and Tesla on the new product. And I'm hopeful that we see some innovations that validate consumers switching phones going forward. At any rate, this ends our formal comments on the phones. Next, we move on to our health tips. Now, as you noticed from the last show, we do have clips that we've started installing of some of the doctors I've observed, like Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Ekberg, and others. And we'll continue to do that. Would love your feedback if you have any opinions there. I just want to remind you of our kidney doc's recommendation. One of our kidney docs recommended no more than once a week fried foods. Another of them suggested trying to do 2 or 3 days a week, no meat, as a way to give your kidneys a break. So I have to echo what their recommendations were as well. At any rate, I want to thank you once again for joining us. This is Greg for Teslafaninsight. Tschüss, au revoir, lehitro, hoda hafiz, drazici, ni hauma, kumbawa, namaste, arrivederci. In Jamaica, we say no respect, walk good man. Thanks for joining us. Have a great day, and bye for now.